Lovely. Back when I was in 8th grade in 2016 in India, I was in 8th grade, I used to stay back after school for extra classes, and I saw my class teacher, Nandita ma'am, always sitting in her classroom and writing pages after pages. And back then, I never understood what was she writing, really. But years later, while I'm studying education policy here at Carnegie Mellon, it suddenly flashed. She was actually writing lesson plans. And then I called my principal, who's also my advisor here, and I asked him, "Sir, is it the same way even today?" And he was like, "Son, yes. They still write books after books just so that I can sign them." And I just thought it might be a problem in India. Did you all ever think of how your teachers plan to teach you all? Thought so. And then that's when I started talking to a lot of teachers here in US, from Colorado to Arkansas to Illinois, Chicago to here in Pittsburgh. And I realized, even 14 years later and 8,000 miles apart, the problem is the same, and it's the same broken process. And that's why I think they very commonly say that teaching is the most burnt out profession in the world. And I think the primary cause for that is teachers generally need 12 plus hours to build an effective lesson plan, whereas they only get 4.5 hours in their teaching time. The rest comes from their evenings, their weekends, and their personal time. And after talking to 30 plus teachers in 4 different US states and 3 different Indian cities, I realized the teachers said in their own unique way, "Rahul, we know the problem exists, but we have no other choice, no other alternative." And that's why I'm building LessonOS. LessonOS is a simple teacher's co-pilot with 3 simple features: an assisted lesson planner, an assignment generator, and student feedback. The teacher generates inputs classes, grades, and chapters, and the platform surfaces curriculum-structured lesson plans, assignments, and resources that teachers can use and that have actually worked in the classroom. And what makes this different is every lesson built improves the system. Every lesson created on that plan improves recommendations for everyone. And that's why LessonOS is built for teachers by teachers. Many edtech tools in this space are basically content factories, which have content floated, and it's troves of them on the internet. Whereas LessonOS is a learning system. It basically closes the loop. Every lesson is connected to its outcome and is feedback, and the best lesson plans come on top of the platform. And that's a $4.2 billion industry we're going to reimagine. Now, I can't go back and change and provide these resources to Nandita ma'am, but what I can do for sure is ensure every teacher from Boston to Bangalore has access to these resources. So let's build and reimagine education system with LessonOS. Thank you.
I have a question about this education thing. So in some countries like China, the education is pretty standardized across very wide regions. One of the unique features of the United States is that you can have quite different attitudes to what the curriculum should be, even in individual school districts. So how do you make sure that if they're using this, it's somehow adaptive enough to their precise school district? Because there's no national curriculum in the US.
Interesting. What interesting aspect over here is, the curriculums might differ from country to country, from region to region, even, let's say, in the United States, from state to state, but methods of teaching can remain the same. A 6th grade math can be taught in multiple ways, but the methodology can be similar itself, irrespective of the curriculum. What we have is an intelligent database mapping system, which maps multiple curriculums with multiple courses and the chapters that are specifically being taught. And LessonOS practically gives the entire freedom to the teachers to basically pick and drop whatever they want to teach in that lesson plan, what kind of activities they want to do, what kind of assignments they want to generate. LessonOS is basically a very good recommendation system to teachers that can reduce the time and the siloedness of creating lesson plan.
So are you going to need to work with Houghton Mifflin's and the sort of publishers of educational content in the world? And that's question one. Like, where are you pulling all this educational content? And then question two, what is it that you can visualize, if you can repeat over and over again? Without giving away your secret, like, what is it that you feel the teachers are really going to gain from this that they that's scalable, repeatable?
Yeah. So answering your first question is a lot of education curriculum is open source and in a lot of countries in the world. Example, here in US, Common Core is an open source curriculum which is adopted by majority of the states. Back in India, it's called CBSE, which is also an open source curriculum with textbooks basically on their national platform. So it's technically open source, which a lot of districts even today in USA adapt. Secondly is not more of what makes this scalable. It's very simply, every teacher that creates a lesson plan creates it in a unique way, and that improves our recommendation system. So if the next teacher who is creating, example, again, a 6th grade math lesson plan in Pittsburgh, they can utilize the lesson plans created by a teacher in California school for the 6th grade mathematics. So that improves, it builds like a network of teachers who are building on the platform and then using recommendations off of each other.